So I've watched a lot of what you've done with Titan over the years, but I had no idea your backstory. Like you've done a lot in the entrepreneurship world. So I want to talk first and foremost about your personal story, and I guess what led you to the point of what you're doing with Titan now.
Absolutely. So, I grew up in Hollywood. I had a very charmed youth, which then changed when my parents split. And I found myself to be very entrepreneurial at a very young age. I was always interested in building businesses and creating things. But then what ended up happening is I got so into that, it was very difficult for me to actually focus in school. So I would get kicked out of school for talking in class, being rebellious.
I got kicked out of kindergarten for singing a Garth Brooks song in class, so I get it.
Oh my God, I love it. So one of the things that I really noticed is that I would be creating fundraisers and raffles and creating pizza, days and things within my school time because that fascinated me so much more than the education that I was meant to be getting. So I ended up getting a GED and just never going to high school. I literally didn't even set foot in high school and have always just sort of had this entrepreneurial spirit. And I think early on is where I really realized that there is a different breed of cat that is this entrepreneur that is looking to create things constantly. They think outside the box. They're not fitting the norm. They don't go with the crowd. You know what I mean? And they just think very differently. And I really wish that back then I would have understood that. Like now it's become sexy. You see it all over the internet. But back then I just thought I was crazy, and I would get a lot of invalidation from other people being like, don't worry, one day you're going to figure out how to sit still and how to, follow the schedule and be normal, like that was like a good thing. And so anyway, I started working in Hollywood with a lot of artists. And I found a formula that I used for Titan very early on, which I think is also a big learning in life, that if you want to be successful, it's very important to connect with people that have achieved what you're looking to achieve. Right. And so if you look in the Hollywood industry, most of the people that teach acting or music are actually washed up or never have succeeded at all. So I very early in my career would put on red carpet events, galas, fashion shows, all different things, seminars, and I would bring through, casting directors and working artists and people that make sense to learn from. You want to learn from the people that have achieved things, which is part of why I see the value in what you do with bringing on all these guests that have, really accomplished things, because through their story and through their actions and through their mindset, people are going to be picking up on these little details that could save them, years, if not decades, of learning certain things on their own. So this is kind of where a lot of my world started. So I did Hollywood, and then I ended up having kids. And I had to sort of quit that Hollywood life, and I was working a 9 to 5 and really struggling to find that balance. I remember bringing my 2-year-old to preschool, and he was not ready. I wasn't ready. I would have tears rolling down my face, just like I wasn't ready for it. With my older son, for whatever reason, at 2, he was cool. I was cool. But with my little guy, for whatever, maybe because he was going to be like my last child, we weren't ready. And then I found this amazing platform called Amazon. And someone introduced me to the idea of selling on Amazon because he was quitting his full-time 6-figure job. And I was asking him, so what are you going to do? And he said, well, I'm selling these kitchen products on Amazon. And I was like, whatever that is, give me a piece of it, because I really wanted freedom. I wanted control. I wanted the chance to build. And they say you're never going to be your boss's neighbor, right? And so I knew that, even though I had a decent, stable job, it was never going to give me that future. And so within 4 months of finding Amazon, I was able to quit my 6-figure job. And I posted a photo on my Instagram and my Facebook of me at the zoo with my 2-year-old. And I said, at the zoo on a Tuesday, I love being an entrepreneur. And that was a very turning point moment for me, because not only did I find my freedom, but then I found myself in a position where other people were looking for that freedom. And that really is the birth of the rest of what we're going to talk about today.